Hello from Kodiak, Alaska. Today we're taking the Alaska Dash 700 over to Anchorage, and a pretty rare treat today, having a cloudless day in an area of the country that tends to be very wet, whether it's summer, fall, winter, spring. But today we have very nice conditions here in Kodiak to take the bird over to Anchorage, about 224 nautical miles. We're going to go ahead and prep the cockpit quickly here for our flight. I went ahead into SimBrief and already built the route. We're just going to import it over, and this was the result from SimBrief. Our flight plan has us departing runway 26, 7,534 feet. Plenty of room for the Dash 700, and we also don't have a very full airplane. And then our arrival data into Anchorage. Looking at runway 7 right. And let's see if they gave us a star. Doesn't look like they did, so it's going to be direct. Let's double check here. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna be maintaining mainly a northeasterly heading. And we'll also get our APU started. And moving over to our calculations. Do some day mode here. So like I said, here's our track, mainly north-northeast, and then we'll just line up with runway 7 right for arrival. Okay, like I said, we're gonna go over to performance runway 26 here in Kodiak. And since we are in the US, let me go ahead and switch our defaults over to inches and pounds. Save. Okay, so we have a dry runway. We're gonna aim for optimal takeoff. We can have our packs on and get the current weather, which is perfectly lined up with the runway. We have an 8 knot headwind during takeoff, 29990 on the altimeter, and so that's set. And like I said, we have a light aircraft, so we're gonna have a very quick rotation. And optimal takeoff is with flaps 1. Assumed temperature 58 degrees, so we'll make sure this numbers line up. Flaps 1. So the speeds should be 119er, 120, 122. And again, I'm using the aircraft data, so let me do this one more time. Import from aircraft. Calculate 120, 120, 122, and here we have... Oh, let me check out our takeoff, our rating in our words. So let's go back to this. This using takeoff 2. Okay, that makes sense. I was wondering why we had a bit of a discrepancy. So we're gonna go takeoff 2. Calculate this one more time. 1 degree of flaps, and now it matches. 119, 120, 122. Yeah, close enough. 119, 120, 122. Okay. So we'll get that over to the MCP. Okay, climb out, we don't have any kind of speed restrictions. And the flight plan is recommending 350 for cruise, so we'll get that set up. Okay. Okay, so it looks like we have some very good weather here, so we'll get going. Gonna go ahead and set the parking brake and remove our ground connections. No pushback required. So we'll go back to our N1 references here just to make sure we double check them as we taxi out for takeoff. And also want to get our map. Okay. And I'm not using any ATC program, so I'm just going to put our flight number here just to match the airplane, which is 737. And we'll go over our checklists here. Okay, pre-flight. Oxygen tested 100%. Navigation, transfer and display switches normal auto. Window heat on. Pressurization mode selector set to auto. Also a good opportunity to check the landing altitude in Anchorage, 200 feet. Flight instruments, heading 257 initially. And current altimeter 29.90. Parking brake is set, engine start levers are cut off. Pre-flight checklist complete. Before start, flight deck door closed and locked. Fuel pumps on. Passenger signs on. Windows are locked. MCP V2122, heading 257, altitude 350. Speeds V1119er, V-rotate 120, V2122, CDU pre-flight completed, rudder aileron trim free and 0, taxi and takeoff briefing completed, anti-collision light on. Before start complete. Starting number 1. Number 1. We'll check the controls while number 1 lights up. Sure, we're all set here. Anything else to last minute checks here? Put our armrest down for the crew here. Okay, before taxi, generators on, probe heat on, anti-ice off, ISO valve auto. Switches continuous. Recall checked. Auto brake RTO. Levers idle detent. Controls checked and ground equipment clear. Before taxi complete. Flaps 1. Before takeoff, flaps 1, trim, 4.9 units. Before takeoff complete. Runway entry. So it's 2:15 in the afternoon here in Kodiak, and you can really get an appreciation that we are a month away from winter. Very low sun angle at 2:15 in this high latitude. Okay, stable engines. Toga. Check.
V1. Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
Gear up.
Bank angle. Terrain, pull up. Terrain, pull up. Terrain, pull up. Terrain, pull up.
Retracts off. Command A. Flaps up. After takeoff, engine bleeds on, packs auto, landing gear up and off, flaps up, no lights. After takeoff, checklist complete. Doing a lot of outside views because again, this kind of perfect weather is very rare in Alaska. Again, it's usually overcast, rainy, or just lots of clouds. So today we get some very nice views of Kodiak on departure. One thing I'm not sure about is if the takeoff to the west is normal. We had a light aircraft, so we were able to rotate pretty quickly and turn quickly, but the terrain, this seems way too close for comfort for that kind of a takeoff with a heaviest aircraft that operates here into the airport. But maybe that's normal. I'm gonna look that up because even SimBrief was not allowing me to prepare a full aircraft. And as many of you know, a lot of the intra-Alaska flights are usually full of freight because most of these islands or these locations don't have a lot of easy road access, so it's mostly sea and air. So it would be very rare for Alaska to have a flight only 33% full like this one to go from a place like Kodiak to the capital in Anchorage. So when I say capital, I mean to the main airport because the capital is Juneau, but the main airport. So yeah, I'm probably gonna look into some. I'm not sure to look at my charts, but I think I take off to the west, requiring such a quick turn to the right. I'm not sure if that's normal. Maybe it is, but I'll double check. So lights off and altimeter standardized, and we'll resume the flight. We'll resume the video during descent into Anchorage. Right now it is 2323 Zulu, and we're expecting to be on the ground at 0001 Zulu. So it's going to be a pretty quick flight. We've been airborne for 5 minutes. So yeah, looks like a 40-minute flight pretty much. And our cruise will probably be just under 40 nautical miles. So like I said, we'll see you during descent. Okay, we're leveling off at 9,000 feet, currently 57 nautical miles from Anchorage. Went ahead and performed our calculations. Given the location of the airline terminal and the generous runway length of 12,395 feet, I only programmed flaps 30, idle reverse, auto brakes 1, and that will have us halfway to the runway, so we can exit very close to the terminal. Have a very short taxi, so we'll minimize wear and tear on the brakes, and we'll minimize fuel usage with the reverse thrusters. Again, very long runway, and as you can see, the ground is blanketed in snow, but very unrealistic. Mainly because the limitations Asobo has on flight sim right now is that anytime the weather is below freezing, the temperature is below freezing on the surface, you automatically get snow. Don't get me wrong, Anchorage does get a lot of snow, but not to this level. And it's also still November, so, and Anchorage's coastal location, and along with most of southeastern Alaska, keep it relatively warm in the winter. So it's a current limitation. I hope they figure it out, because it does create a lot of unnecessary snow cover in many parts of the world whenever the temperature is below freezing. I mentioned it's runway 27, correction, it's runway 7 right. I also have it up on our map, or I had it up on our map. Let me double check. Yep, that's our alternate, and let's look at our, let's reset this. Okay, so here's our arrival in Anchorage. Look at the airport. There we go. I don't know why it went away, but it's back. So, for those of you who've never flown here, here's runway 7 right. If we use half of the runway, we'll be able to exit on taxiway Gulf and go straight to the terminal area. Alright, so let's go on to our next altitude, 160. And one last temperature check in Anchorage. So we're gonna have a 4-knot crosswind. It should be very negligible. Altimeter 29901. So that completes our approach checklist. And I'll also continue decelerating here. So it's almost 1500 local time, and again, just to give you an appreciation for high latitude winter. Today's November 18th, so again, a month away from winter, but still, you can see how low the sun angle is already. I'm probably gonna do some Scandinavian flying too, with my Norwegian shuttle 737 this coming days and during the winter, to get a feel for those high latitude, low light days for some flying. I can already see the runway lights at the airport. This does feel almost like a whiteout condition with so much snow on the water and on the ground and in the mountains. So yeah, a lot of white, but you can see the lights at least. Localize our intercept. Flaps 1. Okay, glide slopes alive. Flaps 5, gear down. My airplane. Flaps 15. Flaps 25. Flaps 30. Landing checklist complete.
Minimums.
Landing. Speed brake up. Reverse idle. Manual brakes. Okay to clean up. Well, despite the unrealistic snow cover, this was a very scenic flight from start to finish. Very nice weather. Let's see if that truck wants to move, or we just park on the other side of the terminal. Alright, we'll change gates here, no big deal. Forgot to turn my lights off, let's get them off. And get our APU running before we park. Yeah, so I guess this truck's not going anywhere, so we'll turn around. Okay, brake set, engine cut off.
Anchorage ground Alaska 737, could you please connect the jetway to the aircraft?
Alaska 737, the jetway is going to be connected.
One of the pieces of feedback I gave PMDG on the tablet, which I'm really enjoying, is just to be, instead of having to rely on the plus or minus or the scroll bar, just let us use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out or to scroll up and down. It's become a creature of habit for me, because if you pull up the Navigraph function, for example, and let me get our current flight here, unload the old one. So if I look at the Navigraph function here, and I go to the airport, see, now I'm using my mouse wheel so I can get to zoom in and out a lot quicker than trying to find line up the mouse with the little plus or the little minus. So yeah, the using the mouse wheel would be a nice function to simplify, not to simplify, to just make tablet use even better. So I mentioned in previous videos how happy I am to have the tablet now that we can make some very good takeoff and landing performance calculations. It makes for a far more realistic experience on the airplane, on the flight. So thank you as always for tuning in. And don't let the sun fool you, it's still very early here in Alaska. So have a great rest of your Saturday, and we'll see you on a future flight. Take care.